Okay, so I said I'd make a video while driving, and I'm going to visit my fiance at college, so still kind of daylight outside right now, so I figured it'd be a good time. I got the cruise set at 55 or 65. It's actually set at 55, but it's very far off because of the tires and stuff. So it's pretty quiet, you know, just like it was before. I guess that wouldn't make no difference, but all you can hear is the turbo whistle pretty much, unless you get into it. Then you can hear that 4-inch pretty good. I got the new panels. I don't know if they help make it any quieter, but it seems quieter in here than it did before, so you know, for what it's worth. You might be able to hear my tires right now. That noise, that one, I don't know if you can hear it. It's my rear end humming. It's broke pinion bearings. Might have said that before, but definitely need to probably get a new rear end. It's actually cheaper for me to buy a rear end off a salvage truck and flush the fluids and everything than it is to buy new gears and bearings and such for this one. So I tore this one up before I had traction bars. I went through like 4 or 5 carrier bearings the year, you know, I've owned this truck a year and 3 months or so like that. I went through 4 or 5 carrier bearings in that time, and it may have been caused because of the rear end, or the carrier bearings going out because I have kind of a heavy foot and I had a lot of tire hop. Could have equally been a factor in killing this thing, so gotta slow down, get in the construction zone. Pretty much just to give it a little bit. That was kind of easing into the throttle, that wasn't just stomping on it. So turbo lag is definitely better than it was before, because I mean the turbo's been cleaned up. It was kind of sticky up and down before, so drivability much better than before, but I can definitely feel the rear end when I'm going up hills or coasting. I can feel it change between when it's in a load and when it goes to the coast side of the gears. So definitely need to get the rear end taken care of, and that should be the majority of everything I ever really had a problem with on this would be taken care of. So coming after everything is finally finished getting fixed, possible mods for the future like will be 05 Harley grill headlights, 12 and newer front bumper, rear bumper, 12 and newer mirrors, and if I can figure it out, I'm gonna put a steering column out of the like 10 or newer, 12 or newer, whatever it is, trucks. You can't just do the steering wheel, the gears or whatever doesn't line up right. So you got to do the whole steering shaft and everything, and the steering column, which I would like to do anyway, because that way I'd have the new style clicker, you know, turn signal and shifter and all that junk. So hopefully, I read a post where somebody was starting to figure it out or starting to try it. So hopefully he figures it out, and I'm not the one trying to figure all this junk out, because it's a lot nicer when somebody else has already gone through the hard work and you can just read somebody else's notes. You know, you still do it, but reading somebody else's notes is a whole lot nicer than trying to figure everything out for yourself. So yeah, drives a lot better, nice and quiet going down the highway, just like I like. You guys might hear the road is really bumpy right here. They're doing a lot of construction work, and I have front and back leaf springs, but it doesn't really feel or sound like it in this truck. It rides really nice, so luckily it's heavy enough for the leaf springs it's got. But I don't know, I'm debating whether or not to finish out all the things I want to do to this truck, or just to go ahead and buy like a 12 or 13 model, couple-year-old truck, so it's not crazy expensive but not have a lot of miles on it, you know, because all this stuff I'm putting in here, like, I actually like the dash in this truck better than I like the dash in the new trucks. And I like the body's a little bit, I mean, it's pretty much the same, but it's a little bit different, and I like it better. I really wanted to keep my front leaf springs. I know a lot of people were like, well, you're crazy, you can't turn very good and it's rough, but I like to feel the road, and I like to know that there's basically no chance that my front end's gonna fall off. I'm gonna say that now it's gonna happen, so knock on some fake wood grain over here. But I would like, I just like leaf springs front and back. It's simple. I like the way everything in this runs. Like, I can work on this 6.0 myself. I tore the whole thing down before the guy put it back together for me. I kind of helped him put it back together, but a lot of the time that he was, putting it back together, the motor wasn't really that much different than a traditional, what you think of a gas motor. I mean, there's a lot more like electronics and stuff on it, but the only big difference was the high pressure oil system, and that's just 2 standpipes, a pump, and 2 oil logs. Everything else is, not a whole lot different. It's the motor is a motor. So the 6.7, however, I've looked at those, and even though they're a heck of a lot easier to work on than the 6.4s, they're still like so much harder to work on than the 6.0, especially the older one like I have. So going up a hill, actually I'm going too slow. We'll just accelerate. This is about 2,500 RPM. You guys can hear how freaking loud that is. Once you get over 2,500, it gets quiet. So I'm gonna have to get me a muffler or something. That's too loud. I'm getting old, about to get married, so I got baby kids in here in a couple years. I want it to be nice and quiet, that way I don't wake them up when I'm driving up and down hills, or driving home. My truck, actually, I'm gonna post another video of it, so it'll be up on here. My exhaust will set off the alarm on my stepdad's old truck. He's got a Yukon. They had a big stereo. There's actually videos of this truck on my page. It's a red Yukon, got a big stereo in it, and got an aftermarket, a Viper alarm, not Viper, I forgot, one of the high-end alarms, one of the better ones you can get. Arms getting tired. And it's pretty sensitive when it thunders, like real loud. You kind of feel the house move. That's when it usually chirps at you. But I flat out set it off today without, meaning to. And then I was like, that's kind of funny. So I made a video doing it again. And so I just, thought people would think it was funny too. So drivability wise, truck's great. Runs smooth. It's quiet. I got a little bit of leaking going on the valve covers. The backboard bolts I don't think were quite torqued enough, and the guy said, bring it in, I'll fix it, so not a big deal there. I'll let him retorque those. Still haven't figured out the dang headlight switch. The brights aren't working, and that's really just a little problem because I got HIDs. I never use my brights anyway. I do have 2 separate bulbs. The kind that I have, it's called a 9007-2. It's not the bi-xenon where the HID actually moves. It's a 9007-2, which means you have a stationary HID bulb, and then on the side of it, you got a stationary halogen bulb that turns on when you turn your highs on. And really, the only thing I used it for was flash to pass. I never turned my HIDs off because they were just easier to see with than even the high beam halogen was. So I only used it for flash to pass, but it did work before, so I'd like it to work again in case somebody else, if I do sell the truck, somebody doesn't like HIDs, I want to put halogens back in it, and then they're ticked off because their high beams don't work. Because if you put halogens in these trucks, they're awful, so you're going to need your high beams for sure. So, yep, I'm getting close to the end of my little road trip. It was the last 10 minutes of the 50-minute drive, so just thought I'd... Sorry, I had to pass on a hill. I just thought I'd, do what I said. I said I'd make a driving video. This probably isn't really what people consider driving. I'm not showing the gauges or nothing. But I am in the truck. You hear it. You hear how smooth it is. I'm driving around. I'm obviously not having any problems. I've been driving for almost an hour or so, straight. Everything's up to temperature. And my coolant gauge is staying much lower, along with my transmission temperature gauge is staying much lower than where it was before the bulletproof. I'll hook up my scan gauge is what I meant to say, but my SCT, because it'll show engine oil temperature and coolant temperature and all that good stuff. and make a video showing how much lower those two temperatures are versus stock. It's substantial. When, I mean, if anybody from Bulletproof Diesel is watching this, or anybody thinking about buying stuff from Bulletproof Diesel is watching this, yes, do it. I bought everything that I could, I bought from Bulletproof Diesel. So, I mean, Fickum, water pump, and then oil cooler. I didn't get an EGR because I had the EGR deleted, so I don't think they actually sell the kit to delete it, but I already had a delete from Sinister Diesel. But those three things really, I mean, along with the Mishimoto aluminum radiator and the Diesel Sight Adrenaline high pressure oil pump and the Warren diesel injectors, all the other little things that if you have a 6.0, you know, there's a whole bunch of little things you got to do, like regulator spring and certain gaskets and sensors and all that meticulous crap that you have to do. The trucks really run good. I got 196,590 as I make this video, and I had 196,000 something whenever, probably 400 when I got this thing bulletproof. So I don't have 200 miles on it yet since it was done, and so I mean, I don't have a whole lot of, you know, time to base my opinion off of, but so far, I mean, the changes are immediate. They're very good. I would recommend them. If you have a 6.0, you cannot go wrong with the Bulletproof Diesel oil cooler at the minimum. If you have the 4-volt version, or 4-bolt pin screw Fickum, not the 7, you're probably not going to have Fickum problems. Not near as likely as you are with the 7. If you have a 7, it's probably a lot cheaper just to buy a factory 4. You know, if you're lucky, you can find the half shells. Well, you have to get a whole one, I guess, real cheap, instead of buying the $700 half shell and then buying like a broken 4-pin to use its computer side, or buying the whole $800 one from Sinister Diesel, which I almost did just because it looks awesome. Excuse me, I had a hiccup there. But anything, I mean, if you got the budget for it, and I'm not like saying I got all kinds of money, because I don't. I'm 21 years old. I work all the time to pay for my house, my truck, my, you know, my other car, and all that stuff. So I saved for all the stuff I've done. But I mean, if you got the budget for it, if this isn't like a surprise that you're having to do all this stuff, and you just have a 6.0 and you're thinking maybe you should change your oil cooler, save yourself the hassle of changing it every couple 100,000 miles, or, you know, 100,000. I've heard as low as 50 if you get crap in your coolant all the time. I mean, if you take this truck in real dirty areas, you know, I used to, and my coolant would be all kind of brownish. You know, it's pretty bad. My coolant coming out when I drained the old radiator was pretty gross, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. So that's why, I mean, I put the new radiator in, and the oil cooler now has nothing to do with coolant. So I mean, that's just one less thing to worry about if you're, you know, taking your truck in really harsh environments. So yeah, I'm arriving at my destination. So you guys, hopefully you enjoyed me talking, rambling forever. I'm sure somebody's gonna say this is boring, and if it is, I'm sorry. I just wasted 14 minutes now of your life, probably 15 by the time I'm done. So, you know, that's 15 minutes of somebody's life that I got now. So, haha, suckers. Anyways, y'all have fun. If you got a 6.0, don't be afraid of it. Just make sure everything's done right, and you'll have a heck of a truck. Like I said, I got almost 200,000 miles out of this thing before I had to do any work to it. Besides ICP and EGR went out about the same time, around 170. I'm the third owner of this truck. According to the first two owners, the only thing that was replaced, the second owner didn't do anything. The first owner, the only thing he had replaced when he owned it was under warranty. They changed him from the 7-bolt Fickum to the 4-bolt Fickum. So as far as I know, I'm the first one to tear into this, as far as they've told me, being the third owner. And you know, some are good. It is, you know, a lot of people say maintenance is a theory, but maintenance is a real thing. your maintenance is a little more free when you do like the oil cooler that's not with coolant and all that junk, but maintenance on everything.